All right, welcome to the Action Shooting Show. We're going to do a different kind of episode here. It's live, on scene, not live, but we're setting up. Just got done setting up the rest of the Hard Skills Day here at Fort Harmar. We got with us Jimmy Heldman. He's been on before, a couple episodes back. If you guys want to watch, and he's the man behind Whiskey Hotel. So we've done a lot of episodes about them and their matches lately. So I want to do a quick talk with Jimmy because his matches are very much designed, is it fair to say, around like real world use of rifles and, the Minuteman type? Maybe explain.
Yeah, so the original context behind building the matches and how I built the matches was my goal was I was an infantryman at the time in an armor brigade, and my goal was to train infantrymen and cavalrymen. So we observed guys that were active in shooting sports performing higher on squad live fires and platoon live fires. Those squads and platoons were getting more impacts, and it was a measurable. There was a good unit of measurement that we could use and look at and go, okay, hey, these guys are hitting more. Why? Well, they're actively going out and acquiring their sights under time and pressure. So I thought, okay, what if I start encouraging people to go out and do that? And what I found was a lot of guys would make up excuses. I'm not going to go shoot 3-gun because, well, this isn't practical. Or I'm not going to go shoot USPSA or IDPA, insert whatever, PRS, because this isn't practical. And I thought, well, what if I built a match that took away all those excuses? And we could use this to try to train and develop their skills. So that's kind of the lineage, and that's the what, why, how of the match.
So I was the idea for this was where competition meets training, because there is parts of competition that I think are really excellent training for skills outside of just gun games. And then there are also parts of competition where, and I hate the term, like training scars, but there are parts of competition that don't necessarily equate to that. So I kind of got some questions. Jimmy's kind of more of I'd say an expert on that than I am. So these are some questions I had. We're going to have him answer them. So the first thing is, what do you think people can do to get the most training value out of a competition?
Yeah, so, well, the first thing they can do is set their ego aside. Take the equipment they have and don't race or try to buy all the little gadgets and gizmos and chase all the gear that they think is going to score them the extra points. If you're a police officer, go shoot it with your duty holster and your duty belt. If you're a soldier, use your issued TA-50 and buy a firearm that's similar to what you're having to use. Unfortunately, if that's a mil-spec M4 trigger, put that in your rifle. It's going to make you better with the equipment you have, executing that under time and stress, both in the competition, outside the competition. That's how you can help develop yourself for your professional use, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you've got a Safari Land, and you go out and buy, you're going to shoot USPSA with a ghost holster or whatever, just barely holds on the trigger like an open shooter. That's probably not going to have the same value as having to defeat 2 safeties on your ALS or whatever.
Yeah. I actually personally have experience with this. I was actively serving in the military, competitively shooting for the military, and then shooting competitive competition outside of it. And I was constantly switching between my Zev 34 and an M9. And finally, I just had to take an inward look and go, stop shooting the 34. Because every time I went to the M9, I got slower with the M9. So instead, I just took the M9 and I go to a civilian match and I get beat. But it's okay because my skill's still getting better with that tool.
Absolutely. So besides for some of the ones we just talked about, what do you think competitions, what other kind of detriments can be to training?
So and this is really hard as a match director, to try to build something that is going to be extremely useful, or try to build something that's not going to create a training scar. I've personally experienced some of them. One of the things that I've witnessed is like jumping off the gun, right? I do a stage plan. I see the stage. I see the targets that I have to shoot. Well, I instantly pop out of that scope and go to the next target, where what we want to do is have good follow through, and we want to see that target fall. We want to see that threat stop, and we want to stay in that gun before we jump to the next one. But if I want to win, I've got to move across that time quickly. Another one that I see a lot is like, something we would preach is like, well, when you do a reload, take cover, do your reload. You have a buddy next to you. You've got a few seconds. Take cover, do your reload, come out in a new spot behind cover or somewhere else. But when we're in competition, what you'll see is we get upright and erect and completely out of cover because it's faster to get to my mag, wherever it may be, and do my reload. So, yes, there are things that could be detrimental. But I would say to the professional user, stop using competitions as your training, right, for those things. Go somewhere else, go to the range on your own, train those things, but use competition as a way to pressure test the basic skills of firearms handling.
Yeah, and I know. So, like at your match, you can't reload in the open. You're supposed to reload behind cover. Obviously, not every match is like that. So, the other thing is, what's a piece of advice, or what do you think people can do to find training value in competitions that aren't explicitly designed for defensive things in nature? So, like, your match, like IDPA would be a good. They're trying to design a match kind of around like your defensive use, even though I think a lot of people could argue it's kind of gotten away from that a little bit. But what are some things, like if I go to a USPSA match, but I still want to get some training value? I mean, you talked about using your, like your conceal and carry pistol could be for a regular civilian. Is there any other things you got?
If you have, let's just say, a TTP or a tactics, techniques, procedure, or standard operating procedure that your unit or your department is using, implement that in your stage. No match director is going to kick you out of the match because you stepped behind cover to do a reload. Did it hurt your time? Absolutely. You have to set your ego off to the side and go, okay, this is our goal. This is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make myself better at this. And someone else has provided, in a sense, a blind way for me to test it. Mm-hmm. And so if there are those things, implement them into the stage, even though doing so is going to hurt your score. It'll be all right. It's going to make you a better end professional.
So really just don't game it.
Right.
It's a game.
Correct.
And I mean, I'm a gun gamer and I do a lot of gun games. I'm going to game the stuff. But if I'm going out to use it as a training, as you're saying, like, all the little gun gamey stuff really should just kind of be set aside and really just focus on, like, what are the skills that I'm needing.
Correct. And then the other thing you can do is realize that you can take a scenario and say, what is the value in this scenario? And then hone in on that thing and let that thing be the thing that you take away. So if it's, acquiring sights fast and transitioning from target to target, well, then do that and talk to the highest performing individuals at that match. Ask them what they're doing to help them do that faster. They probably got a lot of good techniques that they could share with you, right? And then be like, okay, hey, now because I've talked to this guy, he showed me these few different things of how to manage this gun and manage this recoil and acquire my sights. Now I'm that much faster at processing information, seeing my sights, putting my bullet where I need it to be. That ultimately, at the end of the day, the good thing about competition is it gives you the ability to put your bullet exactly where you want it to go.
Yeah. So if you wanted to get really quick at transitions, I would say a steel challenge match is those people can transition target to target faster than anybody. It's very prescribed. So in that way, once you get some skills out of that, you think the more you do it, it's not necessarily giving you a whole lot more value. But till you get to a certain point, USPSA too.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember one time training some guys like use of cover and concealment. I wasn't training them use of cover and concealment. Let me take a step back. I was training them how to get a precision shot at distance. And these were soldiers, infantrymen. And one of the guys from the sniper section was looking at me. And I had told these guys to go to the edge of the barricade because there was going to be more structural support. And this was the gamer in me from shooting PRS at the time. And I'm like, look, if you set up in this corner, both eyes can stand, blah, 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 blah. And one of them was like, hey, Heldman, I can see like 70% of your body.
Yeah.
And like, I didn't realize what I had done was I had allowed the game to dictate my procedures instead of allowing the game to hone my skills.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, you want more support unless that involves you being a wide open target for whoever doesn't want you to be there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I guess the last question is maybe if like MDs are listening to this, what are some things MDs can do to add more training value to their matches? Because I think like the Whiskey Hotel stuff is a really good example of that. There's certainly parts that you can game because there's points and there's a value and you're always going to have a gaminess, but it's not, like in running guns like that too. You can game it to a point, but like after a certain point, it's really you're not doing much better with that gaming. So, like, what are some things MDs can think about or do?
They could be more direct about how you're shooting. One thing you could do is like, so the hard thing is use of cover. That's a hard thing. How do I evaluate or grade that equally? So I can just simply say, no, you have to shoot from inside of this box. You have to shoot from inside of this little window. You have to. We want you to come out of the window and do a reload and then go back into the window. You could be more descriptive and more direct about forcing everybody to do that thing, and it kind of takes away some of the game. However, at the cost of taking away free thinking.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
which there's certainly value to that, and because sometimes that really clever thing is something you can use somewhere else.
Yeah, you. It's a tough. I think almost like, hey, maybe, and this might be something we start doing, is set one stage aside, and we're going to call this stage, tactics, techniques, and procedures, or cover and concealment, or whatever it may be, and we just only have that one stage based around that. And that's the thing that we focus and hone in on instead of maybe high performance skills on the clock.
Mm-hmm. So I guess the last one I kind of skipped over, but I see on your notes, there's a 5 up there.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. So a shooter, if they really want to get the most value out of competitions and they don't care what specific competition, what's one thing maybe they can do?
Yeah. So, this has been a couple of my staff members have done this. Pick one gun and go shoot all these different disciplines and hone in the skills with that one gun. So what I mean by that is one of our guys goes and shoots a 1,000-yard competition. He doesn't switch to a bolt action 6.5 Creedmoor. He still takes his BCM 16-inch with a 1x8 and he goes and shoots it. And he's never going to win that match. But he's not losing it. He's actually getting better and better and landing in the middle. And what happens is now when he goes and shoots a match where it has a 200 to 500 or 600-yard target, it's not a problem.
Yeah.
This is easy for him. So he focuses on developing the skills from those other matches. PRS is going to teach you where your bullet is at any given time of flight, at any time, right? F-class is going to teach you when. USPSA is going to teach you how to transition fast and split times and body structure,
breaking down a really complicated stage into a ballet,
efficiency of movement, all these things. So when you go and you shoot all these different things that maybe your rifle is not designed for, but you're still building the skill sets, and then you're kind of filling in the areas that your setup might be weak at, instead of I'm putting this gun away, I'm going to go get this gun and go do this.
Use the ideal, the bolt gun's going to be easier.
Correct. It is. It's significantly easier. However, that person is going to be able to solve 90% of their problems with one tool because they've learned how to solve all the problems, outside of what that tool's designed for.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's, it's the whole one rifleman concept. It's once you see someone really commit to it, it's impressive, and you're like, oh, I should rethink how many guns I have in my safe.
Yeah. And then when he picks up a bolt gun to do that, I mean, you're just going to be so much better of a rifle.
Yeah, you're like, oh, wow, this is easy.
Yeah. So, all right, well, we wanted to cut this kind of short. We don't go too long, but we got a big day tomorrow. We'll do an after action on this later on. But thanks for watching and hope to see you on the range.
See you guys.